Hello everyone, it is me, Atari HMB. Today's going to be a short video on the Afterlife, a higher plane of existence. So this is basically explaining how it operates, so let's begin. 5D? Well, the question starts off, is the Afterlife a separate dimension? Yes, as well as higher dimension. It even tells you here you have to take a trip into Asian mythology. And they even tell you, time to leave your Western conceptions of the Afterlife at Heaven's Gate. It even claims here that, get this, Dragon Ball characters call the Otherworld, in a lot of ways or terms, the Otherworld or Next Dimension. Our pretty good way of describing the place is truly another reality that isn't connected to ours or on the most metaphysical level. It is not as simple as the Western concept of heaven and hell, and it is entirely a separate universe that encompasses another level of reality. It is entirely a separate universe that encompasses another level of reality.
It is an entire separate universe that encompasses another level of reality.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure you got the picture here. The Otherworld is also truly just that, an entire universe with its own rules and great mysteries. It even states on one of the other pages as much of the action Dragon Ball takes place on the Earth, or in a higher dimension of the Otherworld. Also keep in mind, you might be asking, well, if that's the case, then how come Goku can sense characters in the Afterlife but not in the Room of Spirit and Time? Doesn't that mean the Afterlife isn't in its own continuum or something like that? No, that just has to do with ki detection. In other words, Elder Kaioshin could sense that Gotenks was in another realm, but Goku couldn't. It could be explained here because Gohan can detect ki, but how much he can output ki is not indicative to how much he can detect it. Kind of similar to the other characters in the series. So yeah, that explains that. It's also explained that in Daizenshuu 7, in the World Guide section, that teleportation, also known as Shukan Ito, is pretty much what's needed to get there. And Kami and Mr. Popo have special permission as they have a selected planet, so even if those want to argue how can they transcend to a higher reality, well, that's exactly why. It even states that Goku is given special permission because only he, Beerus, and Whis can really go there with a physical body. And we don't really see Vegeta go there or anyone else, and this has not been contradicted once in the series, so I don't think there's going to be any arguing about this. Preponderance of evidence stands in this favor. Lastly, outside of saying the universe or next dimension, you pretty much have this statement that pretty much shows that the sun is bigger than most of the known universe, or they clarify Snake Way and King Kai's planet are not that big, so everything else goes to scale, but these don't. They clarify that, which is pretty interesting. So that means that this is to scale. Wow, quite interesting. Furthermore, it even says that the Afterlife is confirmed, well, higher dimensions in the living world. What does this mean? Well, it pretty much means if the Afterlife is a higher realm as a 5D continuum, or pretty much a separate universe in a 4D level, I suppose the macrocosm itself that contains it all would have to be a 5D continuum. After all, the space between universes should logically be on the 5th dimensional axis, right? So I guess it doesn't make too much sense to deny this. I mean, after all, the Afterlife was affected. And to furthermore support this evidence, I'm just going to have to tell you that characters such as, well, you know, Enma is capable of sending most powerful characters like Frieza to hell, and no matter how strong Frieza is, once he's dead, well, the higher dimensional Afterlife takes over. Yeah, pretty interesting. It's kind of weird because even though you exist here, it doesn't mean you're actually a higher dimensional being. It just stands as a higher dimensional realm because it has its own rules. I suppose if you destroy it though, that's just as impressive. So destroying the Afterlife is infinitely more impressive than destroying the living world. So yeah, I know I went over this information pretty fast, but I wanted to make this quick and concise and not blag on and drag it on and drag it on. But in other words, just as an extra piece of evidence, that means destroying the Afterlife is infinitely more impressive, which means that GT, Omega Shenron, Buhan, and Super Saiyan God are arguably multiverse plus tiers. And don't go around giving me that stupid argument that Super Saiyan God can't destroy the macrocosm because, oh, the shockwaves would destroy it, but not Goku himself.
Really, nigga?
Well, I mean, if Goku can create the shockwaves, then he's the one destroying it. I mean, that's like saying that, oh, the grenade didn't kill him, the shrapnel did. But what created the shrapnel? Exactly. So anyway, the last piece of evidence is if Zamasu can transcend into the neutral zone and pretty much take over a multitude of these macrocosms and infinitely transcend it because he became the timeline itself, Zamasu is arguably 6-dimensional. Yeah. or 7th dimensional, depending on how you want to interpret. And that's pretty much it. Yep, we have a low multiverse to high multiverse plus Super Saiyan God Goku, and he only gets stronger later on, so you can actually argue that Goku is complex multiverse tier by the time he surpasses Infinite Zamasu. But that's pretty much been it for the video. This has been Atari HMB, and I'm signing off. Peace.